Okay, so I have been around here in the last meeting, but for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Jan, founder and CEO of Nitrokey. Nitrokey is a German company. We produce open source IT security hardware, if possible in Germany. I'm not going to spend too much of an introduction, but will focus on some news of the previous months related to Dasharo and hopefully is interesting to this crowd. So I will focus on our Nitrokeys, NitroPC, and NitroPad. I think these are the topics most interesting for you. And as you see, we have some other products in our portfolio as well. Yeah, let's start with the NitroPC. The NitroPC, we actually have two PCs called NitroPC. One is this tower here, and then we have the smaller mini PC, which we call NitroPC1. And for you guys, most interesting and also what has changed in the previous months is this NitroPC Pro. So this is a come out of a collaboration with 3MLab. And if you know 3MLab's offering, you can guess that this is a PC based on the MSI Z690A motherboard. And we sell this as a fully featured PC. Also for the same for our other computing devices, we ship those pre-installed with either Ubuntu or Cubes. And similarly, as Nova Custom just explained here today, we also offer temper protection services like sealed screws, which then are sent to you, and sealed back, and separate shipment also for some of our products of Nitrokey. I'm going to explain this later on. And yeah, this has been introduced recently. And other than this, we also have these laptops, which Nova Custom mentioned. It's also relatively similar offering to Nova Custom. The main difference is that for now, these laptops are not offered with Dasharo, at least not yet. Instead, we ship them with the HATS firmware. The HATS firmware has been ported to these laptops also recently. So thanks a lot, Thierry. I think you are here in the meeting. So Thierry helped a lot on this. So this means that HATS now is not only running on these laptops, but also has proper support of TPM 2.0 now rolled out and in production with these laptops. I think these are the first devices in production supporting TPM 2.0, at least I'm aware of. And other than this, we, of course, do sell Nitrokeys. This is how we started 8 years ago. And what is new is our Nitrokey 3. So that's not new as a new offering, but there are a couple of news in terms of firmware and integration to computers. So we published a couple of firmware updates earlier this year. And now these Nitrokeys are providing following features: FIDO2, this has been there from the beginning, but also a password safe and safe for one-time passwords, an integrated OpenPGP card, and also a PIV applet, at least as a test mode. And why is this relevant? Because this HATS firmware is specialized firmware in a nutshell, which provides measured boot protection mechanisms, and those rely on a separate Nitrokey as a trusted root, so that during the boot process, a Nitrokey is involved and measures the booted firmware and the booted kernel, and then indicates by either blinking red or blinking green LED on the Nitrokey device if the measurement has been confirmed, like if it's a valid measurement or if there's an integrity issue. So a potential man-in-the-middle or evil mate attack. This means that also now heads has proper support to support Nitrokey 3s. Until recently, heads essentially supported only our older models, Nitrokey Storage and Nitrokey Pro. I think it's on the last page or next page here. These are older models. And now we have good support for our new Nitrokey 3s. Yeah, this is what had happened. Maybe a quick outlook on what we are planning for the rest of this year is to provide further firmware updates for Nitrokey 3 models. All these 3 different form factors of Nitrokey 3 contain a secure element, essentially something like a chip card, but a little bit smaller, but with those physical tamper protection mechanisms. However, the firmware does not make use of the secure element yet. And we are working on rolling out and integrating the secure element in the firmware. This will be enabled by future firmware updates. So for next week, we plan the first update, which supports a random number generator or integrates a random number generator from the secure element, and then future firmware updates will roll out more functionality so that pins and cryptographic keys are also stored and protected in the secure element. We also plan to upgrade the Nitrokey Pro to the MSI Z790 board to support the next CPU generation. And that's from my side, and now I'm open for questions. Okay.
I'm still looking at the website. So I haven't formulated any questions yet.
I have a question related to Nitrokey Pro. What differences in this new version are relevant for heads? Because heads used to work with older Nitrokey Pro too.
That's right. So from head's perspective, it's just another device which with containing an OpenPGP card and one-time passwords. But the interface of the Nitrokeys are different. So the interface of Nitrokey 3 for one-time passwords is different than the interface of Nitrokey Pro and Nitrokey Storage. So this is why we had to have heads being changed. But from the feature perspective of heads, it's all the same. But in addition to this, of course, Nitrokey 3 offers more use cases because it's more feature-rich than the other Nitrokeys. Yeah, so for instance, here Nitrokey Pro does not have support for FIDO, but Nitrokey 3 has. So that's our objective here is obviously to provide a Nitrokey which helps you in most use cases, and FIDO is the way to go. So modern authentication method. Yeah. And the other question was on the different chips. And so we're talking about the MCUs, which are used within the Nitrokey 3. So we have 3 different Nitrokey 3 models. They have all the same firmware and very similar hardware, but they are different, not identical. The 2 larger ones, the difference is a USB plug, as you see, USB-C and USB-A plug. Also here, the picture with a USB-C device is a bit outdated. The casing now looks a little bit different. And they offer NFC support, so you can use it on mobile phones to use the FIDO credentials in your Nitrokey on a mobile phone and log, for instance, to log there in with a web browser. And these two NFC devices on the right side here, they contain an NXP APC55 chip. And the smaller one, the Mini, we call it Nitrokey 3A Mini form factor. This contains a different microprocessor. It's a Nordic NIF52. The reason was supply chain. Since we published these devices, what is this, more than a year ago, during the supply chain crisis, I would say, we couldn't get too many APC55 MCUs. This was a model we started with, so we had to switch to another MCU, and this is why we chose the Nordic. Both chips are relatively similar. There are, of course, in detail, there are differences. For a user, these differences should not matter at all, only for developers. So if you're interested, we can also ship development devices. So this means firmware development, embedded development, and then, of course, it makes a difference. Again, these are minor differences, but in a nutshell, I think the APC55 have a bit more security capabilities, like a real fuse of a signing key, for instance, while the Nordic supports also a signing key, but it can be reset. So this is something like, say, boot guard for microprocessors, but for Nordic, it's a bit more soft because it can be reset and then a different firmware being installed. For us, it's not a security issue because we have a secure element, and then also all data would be inaccessible or gone anyways. Yeah, the Nordic, I think, has a little bit more storage space, a few kilobytes or something. Yeah, does this answer your question, Piotr? We continue with both. For these, the Nordic for the Mini and the APC55 for the two others. This may change in the future, but we have a couple of thousand MCUs in stock of both models, so we will continue for the next 12 months at least.
Well, over here in the chat, one of the questions that were brought up, I pointed out that another thing, and it turned into a small conversation. There's a question why do the Nitro PCs only arrive with GeForce cards, GeForce 4000? Why only NVIDIA? Or just
okay. So let me try to go back here. So we talk about the Nitro PC Pro, which of course has an onboard Intel graphic unit, but in addition, we also offer it with NVIDIA. For us, it's a starting point to start with optional NVIDIA cards because Cube seems to have better support of those. And we don't expect too many users to require now additional graphic cards. So it's a bit of a trial here to see what's the demand. Also, as written here at the bottom, we can offer other graphic cards on request. So just drop us an email and we check the situation. But we cannot start here with 100 different graphic cards being supported, because then we would need to test all of them and purchase them and, integrate the drivers potentially and stuff like this.
That makes a lot of sense. The reason why I mentioned this that it turned into a conversation is because Zerblazer asked why not AMD, because how they are generally the drivers are generally more open source friendly with AMD. And I pointed out that it's a good question, but then we should also throw an Intel Arc into the equation, because some generally, not always, are even friendlier than the Radeon GPUs regarding open source.
Yeah, we are not against AMD of any kind. It's just we had to
answered the question.
Limit our scope here.
Yeah.
So,
you answered the question. It
NVIDIA.
makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're interested, just drop us an email and we find a solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, there's something that I personally noticed, and it's not only in the Nitrokey store, but also other companies such as Tuxedo and others. Framework, for example, regarding devices that arrive with a power cord. Since you ship to pretty much almost the entire world, I was wondering if there's a possibility for countries that don't use the same plugs, if it would be possible to get it without a power cord.
Yeah, well, you don't need to use a power cord, but we only ship it with a power cord, so I don't think there's an advantage to remove
No, I
it.
just mean adding it as an option, not the default, because some companies do offer it as an option without a power cord.
Yeah, so we offer here 4 choices: Europe, North America, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and also UK is used in some other countries as well.
Yeah, that is true.
This covers, I think, 99% of our users.
Yeah, my country used to use the old British standard before we switched to our own standard. Yeah. India still uses the old British standard, by the way, except that they modified it slightly to allow for slightly more voltage. Physically, no changes, just standard changes.
I hear you. I guess too occupied with discussion.
Yeah, right. As you said, it's hard to obtain the board without Wi-Fi, and even if you get it, it costs more. Yeah, don't ask me why. We don't make these prices. Yeah. I guess the answer is simply that barely anybody buys a board without Wi-Fi, and this is why it's more expensive. Yeah.
It could be a push by Intel in order to promote their what's called again? I forgot. They have their own proprietary protocol. I thought that at least with Bluetooth was standard USB, but no. Wait, Piotr is speaking currently?
Yes, he is. I think we have here at least 2 different islands. Like some
Don't you
people
hear
don't
him?
hear Piotr.
Oh
I
my
do not
goodness.
hear Piotr. I just noticed Stanley asking if he's the only one who doesn't hear Piotr.
Well, I'm hearing him all the time, and I wonder what is happening. Like he's talking to you, and you just ignore him and follow the discussion further. And he's like,
Okay, so what about now? Maybe right now. Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Sorry.
this is
I'm sorry
this
about the
is-
confusion. I
this,
really
this
did
is
not.
also weird. This is also weird stuff of the GC, that like if there is this order of connections different, then sometimes people don't hear each other. But like let's just forget about it, because like I'm completely pissed off on all this technology today. But we can talk about that during the vPub. I just wanted to say, Jan, that recently we also noticed that the computers with RGB LED are cheaper than like maybe otherwise. Those with the LEDs are cheaper than those without. So this is like I don't know. This is like when this world going on. Okay, so we know that you just get rid of Wi-Fi modules, correct? Yourself?
Pardon, say again?
You get rid of Wi-Fi modules on the main boards by yourself.
Yeah, right. Now, if you if you can't find a board without Wi-Fi, so we found a solution that then we remove the Wi-Fi ourselves. That's also possible.
isn't it just a plugin card under this cover? Actually, I recall there is.
It's not super complicated.
It's just a socket.
Couple of
and
screws.
you plug it and then put a cover on those antennas and stuff like
Fun
that.
fact, I'm currently on Wi-Fi for my desktop with an Intel AX200 inside an adapter that I ordered off AliExpress from Fendi, the F3102.
So you can basically make a business with that. So you can buy all the Wi-Fi boards, scrap the Wi-Fi module, and then sell it separately, like for another profit.
Yeah. This is very, very interesting. You can earn money on both things.
I want to see someone trying to hack Intel Wi-Fi firmware. That would be very interesting.
Moriel, I would say like this is like off topic at this point. We can talk about that during the vPub.
Sorry.
Let me try to go with the next presentation. So thanks, Jan, for all the answers for the presentation of new products. Thanks for being with us, and sorry for the technical issues.